Well, we're sort of sticking with that hospital thing that you've started there, Dave, aren't we?
Yeah, because now it's time for the first part of an amazing story, and it's from Size the Wood, actually.
Yeah, we sent Dr. Salia to meet a man whose routine trip to the dentist led him to needing major surgery with a little help from a 3D printer.
Thomas Innes has been working in the NHS for 28 years. As an electrician at the Royal Victoria Infirmary in Newcastle, he's part of a shift team, always available to ensure that everything keeps running smoothly.
And we do any call that comes in, from electrical, plumbing, heating, floods to power cuts, just absolutely everything, that the wards ring up for.
But now Tommy is about to undergo an operation here himself.
I went for my normal 6-month dental checkup, and it was actually the hygienist. She said, you've got a lump on your jaw. She said she wasn't happy with it and she would like it x-rayed. I did a biopsy, and basically it's a benign tumour which needs to be removed.
What would have happened if they hadn't caught it?
It would get bigger. I was surprised by how big it was and how it went to either side of my jaw.
And you're having it done here in the hospital that you've worked in for nearly 10 years.
Yeah, I know what ward I'm going on, I know what theatre I'm going in. So I've got a bit of an advantage compared to a lot of people who are really scared of coming in hospital. I already work in one, so it doesn't faze me at all, that.
This is a tumour which, untreated, will inevitably lead to weakening of the jaw and ultimately a fracture or a break. This in itself will then cause pain and have an impact upon his speech and his swallowing and lead to some facial asymmetry and disfigurement.
Removing a tumour this big will mean taking out a whole section of the jawbone too.
This will leave a sizable defect in his jaw, which we'll need to then fill with bone transplanted from elsewhere in his body.
Plastic surgeon Omar Ahmed is working with Mr. Adams to plan for the surgery.
My main role is to reconstruct the defects after the tumour is removed. I will use the thin bone of the leg called the fibula, the one that you don't need for weight bearing.
It should have been my right leg, because it's the left side of my face that's getting done, but then seeing that, so they decided to use my left leg.
Although it's a well-established operation, it'll be a delicate and lengthy procedure. But now surgeons are using a new kind of technology to guide them, the 3D printer.
It's hoped that 3D printing will eventually revolutionise the world of medicine in every field. Experimental heart valves, prosthetics, surgical tools, even bone and muscle tissue have already been 3D printed.
And Tommy's operation is one example of where the technology can significantly help refine and perfect the procedure. Here the surgeons are conducting a 3D planning session over the internet with medical engineer Charlotte van Melkebeker.
So I'll scroll through the images here, and then anything that is marked red will be removed, so you can check the margins are sufficient.
Charlotte has used the CT scans of Tommy's skull to create 3D images which can be manipulated as though they're actually carrying out the operation. It enables the surgeons to work out extremely precisely where to make the incisions, both in the jawbone and the leg, in what is essentially virtual surgery.
We can reconstruct the defect that we've created. So I'll draw that in here, and the software will give us a rough estimate of how that looks.
From this planning session, Charlotte will design 3D printed guides to assist the surgeons throughout Tommy's surgery.
This has come out of the printer.
Yes. The printer has accurately printed the custom guides to fit onto the patient's jawbone and also guides that fit onto the patient's leg, and that's screwed onto the lower leg, and these are cutting surfaces and cutting slots that are accurately angled so that when we take this off and take those pieces of bone, it will then fold to accurately create the bit of bone that we're hoping to fill the gap in the jaw with.
That's phenomenal. This is it, Tommy. This is where you're going to have your operation.
Yeah, it's marked up there, theatre 8. We've been and checked it, and everything's working fine here.
Are you worried about the actual process?
No, I'm more worried about afterwards, how long it'll take us to recoup. I've had some positives. The first one is I'm getting rid of a benign tumour, and I asked one of the nurses if I'd be able to play football, And she said I would, and I thought that was very positive because I couldn't play her before.
You're still cracking the jokes.
A big thank you to Dr. Salia and Thomas, and we'll find out how his operation goes later on in the show.
We will now.